Welcome to your Daily 5 for Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. Just a warning up front, this 5 is going to be along familiar themes that I've talked about many times in the past, but it happened to come up in a discussion earlier today, and so I wanted to just remind people, or on the off chance that somebody is a new listener and hasn't heard me rant along these particular themes before, just a reminder, refresher for everybody, and something new for people who may be coming to the podcast recently. So there was a discussion. I'm going to keep it pretty vague because, I don't want to put anybody in a bad position or anything, but there was a discussion at work around a service and whether people should be using it for, in particular, elements of their personal lives. So this is a service that is available, and I am keeping things very vague here, but a general free service that we chose to use for certain business elements because the business elements are public knowledge anyway. And so the particular things that we were feeding into this system weren't anything that a hack would reveal or that somebody couldn't find with a general search. They were just publicly known items. But the question came up on whether we should promote this, even in a minor degree, for people to use in their personal lives. And I was adamantly, absolutely against it. And there was a kind of a discussion debate going on. It's not that anybody was necessarily all that strongly in favor of it, but at one point the question came up, well, what about the terms? Because we were looking through all the terms and the legal stuff on the actual site for this thing. And the question came up, well, what are we seeing here? And they were saying to me, what are you seeing here that makes you reluctant to tell anybody about this for personal use? And I said, well, there's nothing there. There's nothing in any of this legal stuff. There's no hidden anything, small text, anything that would indicate that they're going to do anything nefarious with the information that people provide, except for two things. I said, one, it's a free service. And I've talked about this many times. A free service is not to be trusted. It simply isn't, because no service exists for free in a vacuum. There is something that has to monetize, or at the very least subsidize, that service. It didn't just fall out of the sky for all to use. It exists because somebody created it, and that means resources are necessary and ongoing maintenance is necessary. So that was one. And I said, and the other is that the entire history of business, because this was a business, or is, I shouldn't say was, is a business. I said, the entire history of business will tell you that just because something doesn't have a nefarious piece of language and isn't trying to do anything to you today, doesn't have any guarantee that it won't do it tomorrow, especially if that service or that company is acquired by somebody else. And that was largely all I really had to say to sway everybody else and pretty much make the point is, yeah, there's nothing there right now. But all you have to do is look even in the near history, but even further, that nothing exists. There is no such thing as a free anything. In fact, to some degree, I don't think the word free should even be legal to use unless it is absolutely something that has some kind of persistent maintenance that there's no cost to it. And I cannot think of a single thing that exists like that. Not even air is free. And the reason you know that is if there's a lot of pollution, you don't have so much air. It tends to be bad. So nothing is actually free, period. Everything has some kind of price, cost, or requirement, or consumes something. And so if you are contributing nothing towards that, there is no reasonable expectation that at some point, the people who are using something without contributing anything at all are going to be presented some kind of bill. It may not be a printed out bill with a dollar amount that you have to put a credit card to, but there is a price to be paid. And so anytime, and I've said this more than a few times over the years, anytime you go to a free service of any kind, anything that purports to be free, I'm not saying you shouldn't use it or you don't have to use it or you should, be out of your mind paranoid, but just remember that there is no such thing as free. And if something is free today, unless you have a contract that is signed somehow, and even that wouldn't matter if an acquisition takes place. We've seen lifetime things go away when acquisitions happen. There was one within the last couple months that a lot of people were very upset about. So free has really almost no meaning anymore. In fact, maybe it never did. So the minute that you go to something and it says to you that it's going to be free, step back, take a few minutes and decide whether it's something you really want to roll the dice on being free forever. Later.